Hello, everyone. It's Francis Widdowson here, coming to you from Calgary. And I'm just about to go in to the Calgary Police to hold the three women and others to account for what they've done. So, for people who are not on Facebook, I have this list of offenses. The most significant, obviously, is Viv Ketchum, who is an absolutely poisonous thug who is posing as a grandmother and who instigated all sorts of things. And then, of course, was backed up by her gangster friends and is rubbing shoulders with Wab Canoe and the chief of police. So, we know we're not going to get justice from the Winnipeg police. What we need is the public opinion, the court of public opinion to act with respect to this matter. Now I have this stick where I have all the offenses which have been noted on this piece of paper. I have this stick which I'm going to turn into the Calgary Police. We don't know what the Calgary Police are going to do. There's speculation that they'll just say it's not their jurisdiction and they can't do anything, in which case I'm going to go back to the Winnipeg Police, which told me to get the ball rolling with the Calgary Police because I was heading out of Winnipeg on Friday at a flight, and I did not want to spend one more day in Winnipeg under the current regime, which is an absolute breakdown of civilization. And at the helm, Wab Canoe, this unbelievable politician who is responsible in part for what happened to us at the University of Manitoba and the University of Winnipeg, because I have a video of Wab Canoe at this event the week prior where he was referring to me as, he didn't mention my name, but he was talking about, because I had the speculative epistemology claim about the grave error at Kamloops is a hoax or was a hoax. That was just a claim. I don't believe that myself. That was the Spectrum Street epistemology claim because we want to investigate that, whether it is a hoax or not. And that's what we were doing anyway. He mentioned that, and he mentioned denialism. And there was a woman, Stephanie Scott, also talking about denialism. And then, of course, there was our friend Megan Sinclair, the terrible bad actor professor from University of Manitoba. Not the worst bad actor. The worst bad actor is Sean Carlton. Anyway, they had an event, right before he went to University of Winnipeg on, you know, denialism being a barrier to reconciliation and so on. Anyway, so we'll see what happens with the Calgary Police. Don't have a lot of confidence that anything's going to happen, but this is what you do: is you're not expecting to get justice. You're doing what is required that in a normal society, a normal liberal democratic society, you would get justice. But there's been a massive failure of University of Winnipeg, University of Manitoba, which has been involved in this, the police, the Winnipeg Police, the University of Winnipeg Faculty Association, and the list goes on. So we want to hold those institutions to account. We want to document what they've done, and then the public can look at that and see what they think about this. And Wab Canoe is a major problem in Manitoba, and hopefully there's a bit of heat being put on him now, and you got to be concerned. So that's what's happening with the police. I also wanted to mention, because I waded into the area of uneven and combined development on Twitter yesterday, because Harrison Faulkner and I talked about this matter on his show. And this led to a number of commentators starting to get riled up about this. And this has been the position that Albert Howard and I have had for the last 30 years, and is well documented in Disrobing the Aboriginal Industry and Separate but Unequal. And it concerns the theory of not some right wing person, but of a left wing revolutionary whose name is Leon Trotsky, who, although we can take issue with a number of things that Trotsky has said, perhaps, like, it's all open for debate. One thing he was correct upon was the process of uneven combined development. And what people like Melissa Mubarki are doing is they're not understanding what I was saying, because they think I'm referring to all Aboriginal people with Aboriginal ancestry. And that's not what I'm doing. I'm talking about the marginalized Aboriginal people, which are isolated, who are isolated, living in these isolated communities. And as a result of that, they have not been able to incorporate the cultural features of a liberal democratic society. And this, you see this in the workforce, not with these kind of fake businesses and sinecures and everything that's set up by capitalism. It's about being able to become a member of the working class. Are they able to do that or not? And the people in the isolated communities are not, because they have not been able to have absorbed the features that allow you to do things like, develop abstract forms of reasoning, work by the clock, not by the task, which is a major part of hunting and gathering and horticultural societies. And I just put hunting and gathering on Twitter. I realize there's horticultural societies in what is now Canada too, but they are pre-civilized modes of production. And I know that's going to be, everyone's going to get all, gnarly about that, but this is the truth. This is what I believe to be true. And I've been intimidated for 30 years about talking about this. And now we are seeing an opening where we can be honest and, talk about tribal societies, those that do not accept the idea of laws which are enforced by a state, all these kinds of developmental matters, which I, haven't been able to get into very much over the last 10 years because of all the, people shouting me down and so on for saying this. But in order to solve a problem, we have to understand its cause. Uneven combined development is a major part of the problem, and we need to talk about it. And it's got nothing to do with race. It's all got to do with cultures that had lower levels of technology, productivity, complexity than those with Iron Age technology, the wheel, writing systems, and on and on and on. Anyway, I just thought I'd mention that because I notice everyone's getting all hot and bothered on Twitter, and they're saying that Melissa Mubarki thinks I'm referring to her, which I'm not at all. She's doing fine. She's totally integrated. She's got a job as a journalist and everything. We're talking about the people in the communities who cannot participate in the workforce, large amounts of fetal alcohol syndrome, which is contributing to the problem. That's the population I'm talking about, not, people who are functioning very, very well. They've absorbed all the accoutrements of modern society. Anyway, I just thought I'd mention that. I'm going into the police in about half an hour's time, and we'll see what the police do with respect to this terrible situation that happened on September 26th at the University of Winnipeg. Have a great day.